Welcome to today's briefing from Downing Street. I'll start with an update on the progress we're making to beat the virus, before moving to an update on schools. The first slide shows the latest COVID alert level. The COVID-19 alert level across the United Kingdom has moved down from level 4 to level 3, as recommended by the Joint Biosecurity Centre. The chief medical officers for England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland have reviewed the evidence and agree with this recommendation. In all four nations, there's been a continuing steady decrease in cases, but this doesn't mean that the pandemic is over. The virus is still in general circulation and localised outbreaks are likely to occur. The second slide shows cases confirmed with a test. 7,433,114 tests for coronavirus have now been carried out or posted out in the United Kingdom. This includes 169,600 tests carried out or posted out yesterday. 301,815 people have tested positive, an increase of 1,346 cases since yesterday. SAGE has confirmed today that their estimate for the R rate for the United Kingdom is unchanged on last week at 0.7 to 0.9. We want to keep the R number below 1. R is the average number of additional people infected by each infected person. The third slide shows the latest data from hospitals. 494 people were admitted to hospital with coronavirus in England, Wales and Northern Ireland on the 16th of June, down from 534 a week earlier and down from a peak of 3,432 on the 1st of April. 354 coronavirus patients are currently in mechanical ventilation beds in the United Kingdom, down from 392 a week ago, and down from a peak of 3,301 on the 12th of April. The fourth slide shows what is happening in hospitals right across the country. There are now 5,030 people in hospital with coronavirus in the UK, down 10% from 5,608 a week ago and down from a peak of 20,699 on the 12th of April. As the graphs show, while there is some variation, most nations and regions of the United Kingdom are broadly following a similar pattern. The fifth slide shows the daily figures of those who've sadly lost their lives after testing positive for coronavirus. Across all settings, the total number of deaths now stands at 42,461. That's an increase of 173 fatalities since yesterday. When measured on a 7-day rolling average, the daily number of deaths currently stands at 140, down from a peak of 943 on the 14th of April. Turning to schools. In March, when we asked schools to close, we did something different from virtually every other nation. We made the decision to keep schools open, not just for the children of critical workers, but also for those most vulnerable children in our society. This was because we recognised the important role that schools play in keeping those children safe. From the start of this month, schools began to welcome back children from nursery, reception, Year 1 and Year 6 as part of a phased and cautious return. And from this week, we started to see the return of Years 10 and 12. We want as many children back in school as possible, which is why this week we announced more flexibility for primary schools so that they can have the opportunity to bring back more of their pupils if they're able to do so in line with the protective measures that we've already set out. Today, with the overwhelming majority of primary and secondary schools know that they're enjoying being back in the classroom and being with their friends and their classmates. School is vital for every one of our children. That is why we will bring all children in all year groups back to school in September. While many children have already returned to school, I do understand there is anxiety still among parents. I want to assure you that the well-being of your children is the absolute top priority for every single one of us. We have put robust protective measures in place, including a hierarchy of controls and protective bubbles. I must stress that it is in every child's best interest to return to school if they are eligible to and able to. This measured return is part of our roadmap. It's part of how we will recover and rebuild after this virus. But I think all of us recognise how much children have missed out and why it's so important we support them to catch up on this lost ground. Having opened schools to more pupils and set out our intention for a full return in September, the next part of our recovery will be to roll out our hugely ambitious catch-up plan for all of our children. We must get them back to where they should be and put in place a secure foundation for longer-term reform. We'll not allow an entire generation to lose out on their education or accept lower expectations for them. That's why we're launching a £1 billion COVID catch-up plan that will lift outcomes for all pupils, with targeted support for those from disadvantaged backgrounds who are most at risk of falling behind because of this disruption. As part of this package, we'll provide a universal catch-up premium worth £650 million for all state school children in England to help them make up for the lost teaching time in the next academic year. The Education Endowment Foundation has published a guide for schools on how the money could be best spent, which will include intervention programmes, access to technology or summer schools. This crisis will have affected children in many different ways, and for this reason I'm giving schools the discretion to tailor this funding towards their particular needs and the needs of the children that they teach. The plan also includes a new £350 million national tutoring programme to increase access to high-quality tuition for disadvantaged children and young people. This will not only help children in the short term, but will create a positive, long-lasting legacy to drive up standards, expanding the number of high-quality tutoring providers for all schools to use. This £1 billion package is already on top of £14.4 billion deal over 3 years announced last year going to our schools, recognising that our schools need additional support at this difficult time and helping them help students to catch up. Over the coming weeks, we'll publish further information and guidance to help schools prepare for a full return in September. We're working across government and with the sector to ensure these plans are fully in place so that this can happen and every child of every year group has the benefit of a first-class education. The pandemic has dealt an unprecedented shock to our education system, as it has to many other parts of our national life. Although we have a clear plan, there will, of course, be times when we have to respond quickly to changing circumstances. If this virus has taught us one thing, it's the absolute importance of being flexible and adaptable when we have to be. The education system has shown that it can do this and do so much more. We all want to see every child back in school, and we will work together to make sure that we achieve this.